Hello, thank you so much for clicking and for watching this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to leave me a subscription because that's just really nice. And if you like this video, leave a like because also that's just really nice. Today I'm going to be talking about the game that I've just watched. It's finished Southampton 0, Manchester City 1, Southampton on a roll at the minute. They picked up a really impressive point at the Emirates in the week. Of course, they will probably feel that they could have got more from that, but I think that just says how far Southampton have come from where they were last season, around about the bottom three in a relegation battle. And this season, they're going into a game against Manchester City thinking, we have a really good chance of winning this game. And watching this game, I can honestly say this is a chance missed for Southampton. I thought Manchester City were there for the taking today. But when I was watching this game, there were just a few moments in this that told me where Southampton are at the moment is not an actual reflection of sort of where they are going to be in the long term. And what I'm going to say about that is that I think that when they get into those sort of areas in the final third, they lack that little bit of quality that they needed, that Manchester City clearly had. They clearly showed it for their goal, that link-up play between Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne, and of course Sterling with the finish. That was a quality move from Manchester City, sort of rolling back the years. And when I say rolling back the years, I'm not talking about a team that are like aged and are past it. They're still a young team. They're like young players. But that was the Manchester City that was devastating a couple of years ago. And in that first 10 minutes, I thought that Southampton played really well. They came out, they were competitive, they took the game to Manchester City, which more teams seem to do now. That's been the frustrating thing for me watching teams play Manchester City over the last 2 or 3 years. A lot of teams will go out with this mindset that we're already beat, we'll just sit back and defend. Whereas we've seen teams recently that when they go up against Manchester City, they're prepared to. If they're prepared to have a go, sometimes Manchester City they can't cope with them. And there were times where I wouldn't say they couldn't cope with Southampton today, but I think they were taken a little bit aback by Southampton's approach. And I think it's because over the last 2, 3 seasons, Manchester City have really they've had it their own way. Teams sit back, they allow Manchester City to have the ball. Manchester City dictate the tempo of the game, and then they can create all these opportunities for themselves because teams don't press them, teams don't have a go, teams don't compete against Manchester City. They're just happy to, if we get out and we only lose 2-0, we're happy. But that wasn't the approach from Southampton today. Southampton were competitive. They were really composed. I thought Vestergaard had a brilliant game. I thought Theo Walcott again just showed, his class and his quality. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you must be thinking, why did we sell him? We saw that finish from him in the week at the Emirates. He went back there and got a goal. I thought he was excellent today. And all round, I think Southampton's gameplay was really positive today. They took it to City. It was competitive. I think City had that one bit of quality. Again, the link-up play between Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne and Sterling, and that was a brilliantly worked team goal. But apart from that, apart from a chance from Gundogan towards the end, which forced a save out of McCarthy, I don't really think City put Southampton under a lot of pressure. And when you look at the stats, I haven't looked at the stats, but just from coming off the back of watching the game, I've come from watching the game to just record this. From watching that game, my assessment of the game was that Southampton had a lot of the ball. They had a lot of the ball, and when they got into the final third, they lacked that little bit of composure that they had, through the rest of the build-up play. So there were a few times where Kyle Walker-Peters, that they'd work it really well, and then they'd get it to him, and rather than putting it in the box or moving it forward, or turn and move it back or move it across, rather than putting it in the box, And that's just the frustration. You see it with a lot of teams. Sometimes, you get yourself into those promising positions and you don't know what to do. It's like, right, we've moved it, we've worked it really well. We've got a chance here. Drive at the player or put the ball in the box. No, I'm gonna move it back, or we're gonna move it around. Put it in the box. And that, if I was a Southampton fan, I would be really frustrated by that. And it's not just Southampton; a lot of teams do it. It's a side to side, back, side to side, back, side to side. Get it forward and get it in, because Southampton have players that can cause a lot of damage in there. So that was probably my biggest criticism of Southampton. If I think about it, I don't think they really tested Ederson. And on Ederson, I thought there were a couple of times where his distribution was questionable. But really, apart from that, I wouldn't say Manchester City were comfortable, but I would say that they were never really under siege. They were never really under a huge amount of pressure. As good as Southampton looked, as composed as they were on the ball, moving forward and getting about, as good as they were pressing Manchester City and putting them under pressure, I don't feel like Southampton really created too many chances, none that I can remember, and I think it was a really pretty comfortable for Ederson when you look back in the game. But great approach from Southampton. They won't lose any confidence or any momentum from this game. I think what's been really good about this league over the last couple of years is that you've got these teams now that are competing and becoming more competitive in games, and that are like pushing for Europe, for Europa League, just there and thereabouts for top four, top five. And I think teams like Southampton and Leicester have been a breath of fresh air. I did a video on Southampton recently. So for me, it can only be a positive. So if you're a Southampton fan, I think you would be disappointed with the result. But in terms of the performance, I think you can be relatively happy with this one today. So it's finished today. Southampton 0, Manchester City 1. Next up, absolutely massive game. Everton pushing for Europe, taking on Arsenal, who are desperate for a win. They cannot afford to lose this game today. As I said earlier, if you've not subscribed already, leave me a subscribe. And of course, it will be just really nice if you like the video. And leave any thoughts, comments and feedback on the video, because all of that helps me when I'm creating future content. Tomorrow, it's a huge game. It's Manchester United against Leeds. I'll be giving my reaction to that game and posting a very special video before that game. But until then, I will see you next time.